idea for Vivo Gig, say 2 months prior, I would have had just said that's a cool thing, someone should do that. But I'd spoken to some people who had put together teams. I'm not technical, so I just reached out to them and was like, remember me, I interviewed you 2 months ago, where do I start? And they bought me coffee and told me who to talk to, what meetup groups to join, resources, blogs, etc. And so just through having no real technical network in Austin, having just moved here, I just kind of forced my way into the scene and met people and got introduced, and I found a couple people who were willing to work for free and equity and sweat and love and hope, and then we were able at South by Southwest to raise some investment, and then we were able to pay ourselves and hire on. So now we've got 4 full-time employees, a bunch of contractors. Over the summer we brought in some interns and have been able to keep some of those on. So we're sort of a moving organism, but we've got sort of a few full-time core people, and then trying to raise more money to keep the rest, basically.
For sure. And Shannon, you came on board as one of those people, right?
So beginning of July.
Cool.
Is when I started.
And do you guys manage freelancers as well, or with the blog?
We do have some freelance writers with the blog, so I try to just send out reminders. Hey, we're looking for pieces. I kind of did some research on looking at other music blogs, some of the top music blogs, and how they were getting traffic as well, and kind of brought that to the freelance bloggers. These are the type of pieces people really want to read. They want to read show reviews, and kind of get the backstage aspect and those types of things. So looking more for that, and just trying to, I get those pieces in and just edit them and add photos. I look at the Vivo Gig site, so if they've covered a band, I'll do a search for that and pull up a photo of that band and use it. So kind of driving, hey, if you want to see more photos of this band, just go here. So that type of thing. So
when I started Vivo Gig, I sort of was looked at a lot of the tech startups, and they weren't doing a good job at blogging, and if they were, it was primarily tech focused. And so our audience, it's good for techie people to like what we're doing, but they're not the people who are going to be going to the shows.
Sure.
So while I was looking for people and finding my development team, I started a podcast where I then started getting people to submit questions to the bands. So I put up a Google form on my website, and then the bands would drive the traffic to our site to ask the questions. I then captured their email addresses, was able to email them, say, your questions have been answered, download here.
Cool.
And then when the app came out, we were able to say, hey, you like what we did over here, this sort of thing you thought we were, and actually this is what we are. And so that's worked kind of well, and that was, I guess, partially, the way I wanted it to do was, it's crowdsourced from all directions. It's the questions are from the crowd, the photos from the crowd. It's very trying to democratize all of that, and it's also got to do with time. Trying to run your own company. I just don't have time to sit down and write long, expository blog posts anymore.
Sure.
And so now I started off getting a lot of musicians to write posts as well, trying to give that sort of backstage angle. So reach out to a band and they tell the story behind the lyrics, or they're on the road for the first time touring nationally, what's a funny story, and that sort of thing. So I've tried to get a lot of people to do a lot of stuff for us, but that sort of helped build their following and generate exposure for them too.
yeah, what I've realized is coming into this, I had no background in music writing, and so it took a little while to get used to that type. It's just very conversational and more opinionated as well. So it's just not typical when you think of news writing. So that's been an interesting journey for me, but now I really love it because of that aspect, that I can put my opinion into it. It can be conversational, I can use slang sometimes, that type of thing, and going to shows as well, covering, that's been probably my favorite part of the whole process as well, getting kind of that exposure, and even chatting with bands. I'll go to some of the podcast interviews with Daniel, and it's just a neat, different kind of aspect than what I ever thought I would be doing, but it's a lot of fun. So, and those type of when you do like the show reviews, local show reviews, or talking about your conversations with bands and things, I feel like that gets the most traffic on the blog, because it's kind of that behind the scenes, in my own opinion as well, about this show.